So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm doing this on last Wednesday. This is coming out on Monday. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Johnson actually went and got a deal. Because as you probably know, us not having a Brexit deal is probably going to cause a whole heap of mess on top of the mess that we are already in. So we cannot afford this absolute level of absolute nonsense. But it's always good, I think, to really go back and have a look at the man that we've chosen to be our Prime Minister. And someone recently put in a comment of one of the pictures I posted recently on the YouTube comments thing. And his comment was, the British people thought that Parliament would be a lot more fun. Instead, what they got was a complete circus. And I think that was his comment. And this is really the situation we are in. We are in a situation where we need a leader who not only is serious and can get down to the serious brass tacks of leading the country. Clearly, Johnson is not that person. But also someone who will tell the truth. Because we need someone as well who will tell the public the truth. And it's necessarily sometimes the truth the public may not want to hear, but at least it is the truth. And as Abraham Lincoln said, at least if you're going to tell the public the truth and they might kill you for it, at least make them laugh and they might not. At least I think I might have butchered the quote completely wrong, but it was along those lines. So this comes from politics.co.uk, and I think this really captures Johnson and the situation that we are in. So the title is Johnson, the boy king who couldn't grow up. What do we mean when we say someone should be serious? Normally it suggests someone should stop joking or messing around and start focusing. When it comes to a political leader, the level of seriousness must match the responsibility. Politicians have to be serious because people's lives are serious. So what does it mean when we discuss Boris Johnson, a man who has literally made a career out of not being serious? At the Labour conference 2 weeks ago, Keir Starmer made it the central plank of his attack on the Prime Minister. He's just not serious, he said. He's just not up to the job. We now know about Johnson's faithlessness, narcissism and complete dishonesty. We know that he was always approached politics as a game and it must be carefree and so he can be careless with it. When we talk about Johnson's lack of seriousness, it's not about his sense of humour or love of wordplay. It's that all his inerts and processes, he is a child. Being a child isn't a bad thing, but you wouldn't want to be led by one. Perhaps the most obvious childhood characteristic is the desire for total power. Many children fantasize about becoming world king. Johnson, aged 56, still wants to be. Indeed, it appears to be his most elemental drive. His Downing Street is not the business of sharing power or accepting checks or balances. His cabinet is not an assembly of heavyweights designed to challenge or reason with him. Oh, there we go. Oh, hang on. I'm trying to lean back in my chair and it's not working. There we go. Designed to reason with him. He and his advisers have sidelined Parliament at every turn, unlawfully prolonging it, delaying its meaningful votes in trade negotiations, and refusing to gain its consent for the most straightforward restrictions on civil liberties in peacetime. For 6 months, his government has literally and needlessly ruled by decree. This was, quote, taking back control, as a child might have envisioned it, all for himself alone. The trouble is that the desire to seize power is not matched by a strategy or even competence. Johnson has grabbed the levers of state of control, but doesn't know what to do with them. On many key issues of our time, COVID and Brexit, Johnson has taken power from the elected national and regional representatives, but not their aptitude or understanding. For months, the virus was something to be dismissed, wished away, or spun for good news. Brexit has been used not for detailed policy or considered negotiation, but swashbuckling ambition and bombastic pronouncements. Power is the thing, and policy is a distraction. And we've said this before. Johnson, when it comes to actually saying what policy is, we don't actually get it, and that's the thing. We need policy during this time. It's nice to say all these things about investing in the north and things like that, but until Johnson actually has a policy, they're not going to come to fruition. The other thing about this power is the lack of complexity granted to it. For Johnson, there is no distraction between himself and his country. His conference speech last week was filled with the kind of jingoistic rhetoric which speaks to align national narrative to personal will. Neither vision admits any nuance. Johnson promised we would defeat COVID, just as this country has seen off every alien invader for the last 1,000 years. He declared that we aren't embarrassed to sing old songs about how Britannia rules the waves. The notion that perhaps we ought to be embarrassed about Britannia ruling the waves, or that we might ourselves have been an alien invader, where of course entirely absent. Britain's history must be all bad or all good, and sincere. It cannot be the former, so it must be the latter. This, of course, finds its way into the government's most common refrain. That almighty, almost political facet of public life is world-beating. Algorithms, apps, testing systems must not simply good, they must be better than everyone else's. The fact that they've all catastrophically failed is completely irrelevant. This is the purview of a child who cannot and will not see the world beyond their own. The rest of the world is not there to be engaged with or learned from or to be bettered by. Johnson and his subjects are the kings of the castle because he says so. The Prime Minister's approach feeds into every aspect of his governing. Both his decision-making and his rhetoric are defined by rash, insensitive insults about the BBC's wetness and David Cameron as a girly swat, reflected a playground machismo. His remark that Britain owed its second wave of the virus to, quote, freedom-loving, provoked outrage on the continent. This observation that Barack Obama disliked Brexit because he was, quote, part Kenyan, resurfaced in Washington this weekend amid reports number 10 was now trying to woo Joe Biden. Johnson knows that the most beloved children at school were always the charming naughty ones, who fibbed with a knowing wink but never went too far. Unlike Trump, another unserious and power-hungry politician, he diverts his put-downs with an attempt to charm rather than anger. But that doesn't make them less alienating or revealing. They may also point his way to his downfall. Perhaps the most key example of his repeated labelling of Starmer as Captain Hindsight. Not only does the weakness of the line show how few weapons Johnson has against his opponent, it also reminds voters that the government keeps botching the crisis and Labour keeps pointing it out. Above all, it illuminates one of Johnson's key weaknesses. Hindsight is a gift, in that it uses the past to guide us to better decisions. And of course, the Prime Minister would find that weird and ridiculous. There is no error he has ever made that isn't repeated. He's not interested in his learning from his mistakes because he never concedes he actually makes any. The ultimate problem with Johnson is with his lack of seriousness, and he does not take the British people seriously. That is to say, he's a child who treats us all like children. He lies and jokes and tries to cheer people up, but never levels with us as adults. And so he is confused. He has confessed to the damage of Brexit. In the summer, he declared it our patriotic duty to go to the pub, and last week he declared that we should behave fearlessly in the face of the virus. Everyone must be a mollycoddler or condescended to. This sordid reality must never be spoken. The fundamental difficulty is that Johnson is not a child, and nor are we. We both need seriousness and truth, and Johnson can supply neither. In children, his character traits are tolerated and even laughed off and somewhat cherished because they are seen as a staging post on the way to maturity and understanding. But for Johnson, they are the key to how he governs. It's not just that the boy king never grew up, is that he just can't. And absolutely 100%, 100% absolutely right there. 100% right about old Boris. He is a boy king who just can't grow up, and we need someone who is seriousness. This is why one of the things Boris tried to really do with his power grabbing and refusing to share power is he wanted to try and put an end to what was known as the superstar chancellor. And Ricky obviously gained massive praise, obviously, from the furlough scheme, and that's why I think Ricky was tended to try maybe be moved on to try and find someone that would be more pliable, shall we say. But evidently, because he got so much love from the furlough scheme, they couldn't get rid of him. But now that Ricky has been posting the terrible winter furlough, the fact that you've got people in the arts, leisure, and those type of sectors who are going to lose their jobs and being told that, oh, hey, it's all fine, you can just retrain. It's absolute madness now, but that's the situation he's in. Of course, Boris just doesn't take it seriously. Boris doesn't take the seriousness of understanding that we are facing a huge level of unemployment. If Boris has, hopefully is not, gone for a no-deal Brexit, then that, piled on top of our coronavirus recession, I forgot the word was then, our coronavirus recession is just an absolute cocktail for disaster for this country. And I've said it before, we've got hard times ahead for this country, and the fact that Boris is captaining the ship, we ain't going to be seeing any, shall we say, sunny and clear skies anytime soon. So with that, thanks for watching. Please do hit that like and share button. It does help out the channel a lot. And if you are new, please do hit that subscribe button so you can see more videos about British politics and Brexit, because they are two in the same thing at the moment, and it will be for some time to come. If you would also like to support the channel a different way, there are links down below to my Patreon page, as well as a one-off donation link, and thank you to all the people who do support me via those ways. And with that said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.